This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Good evening, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for January 1, 2023. And in the news this evening, 3 men killed on Cane River Road. Detectives assigned to the Major Investigation Division are probing the circumstances surrounding the death of 3 men in Bull Bay, St. Andrew on New Year's Eve. The deceased have been identified as 68-year-old Isaac Ashton, a mason of Taylor Land, 9 miles Bull Bay, St. Andrew, 39-year-old Alric Ashton, a construction worker of the same address, and a man known only as Narco. Reports from the Kingston East Police are that at about 9:15 p.m., the men were traveling in a Toyota Starlet motorcar along the Cane River Main Road when gunmen opened fire on the car, hitting all 3 before escaping on foot in the area. The motorcar subsequently collided into a wall. The police were alerted, and on arrival, the bodies were seen with multiple gunshot wounds. The scene was processed and the bodies removed to the morgue pending post-mortem examinations. Cops clear up 2016 double murder case alleged the killer died 2 years ago. Police have cleared up a 2016 double murder case posthumously, even though the man accused of the killing has been dead for 2 years. Fitzroy Core, otherwise called OJ, 26, was said to be one of several men who pretended to be police officers and shot dead 2 brothers in their sleep. The brothers, Romario Lawrence, an 18-year-old handyman, and Javel Lawrence, 19, both from Phase 2 Havana Heights, Clarendon, were killed on September 8, 2016. It was reported that around 2:40 a.m., both teens were at home sleeping when men claiming to be policemen kicked open their front door and shot them multiple times before escaping on foot in the area. Police were summoned and discovered the brothers with multiple gunshot wounds to their upper bodies on separate beds. More than 10 9mm spent casings were found in the room, and another 8 retrieved along the roadway. Post-mortems conducted on both victims determined the cause of death to be multiple gunshot wounds to the torso. On September 27, 2020, Core was fatally shot by the police in Midday District, Manchester. A firearm was recovered in that incident, in which Core reportedly used 2 women as human shields. Lawmen said that on Christmas Day last Sunday, a witness to the brothers' killing visited the Meepen police station, viewed several facial images of the deceased men, and identified Core as one of the men who killed the brothers. As a result, the 2016 case of 2 counts of murder, burglary, and illegal possession of firearm and ammunition was cleared up. 1 in custody following firearm and ammo seizure in St. James. 1 man is in custody after the St. James police seized the firearm and ammunition along with other illegal items during a joint police-military operation in Canterbury District in the parish on Saturday. Reports are that about 12:40 p.m., lawmen carried out a search of a premises, and 1 Browning 9mm pistol fitted with a magazine containing 6 cartridges was found in a room. The police said during an additional search, 7 cellular phones, 1 tablet, and 34 letter-sized papers with identity information assumed to be that of people living overseas were found. Investigations are ongoing. Construction worker charged in connection with a stabbing death of man in Portland. The Portland police have charged a construction worker Ricardo Donor with a murder in connection with the stabbing death of 55-year-old Calvin James on Friday, December 30. Donor, otherwise called Peng or Ricky, of Port Antonio, is set to appear in the Portland Parish Court on Thursday, January 5. James, also known as Jeggy of Boundbrook, was standing outside a shop along a group of men in Port Antonio when an argument developed between him and another man. A knife was used to stab Jeggy in the abdomen. He was pronounced dead at the Port Antonio hospital. Investigators say the suspect in custody is expected to be charged with murder. Motorcyclist dies after falling from bike in Manchester. A motorcyclist died of injuries he received as he fell from his bike in Resource District, Manchester yesterday morning. He has been identified as Craig Smith, a farmer. It is not clear what led to the mishap, but Mr. Smith was reportedly riding his bike in the community sometime after 5 a.m. when he crashed. He was taken to the hospital and died in the afternoon. Motorcyclist and pedestrian deaths major contributors to 2022 road fatalities. Motorcycle crashes and pedestrian deaths have contributed significantly to the high number of road fatalities in 2022. Road fatalities for 2022 reached 480, which is a mere 6 fewer than the number of deaths recorded in 2021. Vice Chair of the National Road Safety Council, Dr. Lucian Jones, says failure to use proper safety gear, such as helmets, has been a major contributor to deaths in motorcycle crashes. He says that this group of motorcyclists and pedestrians are among the most vulnerable road users. Dr. Jones noted that 107 pedestrians, 141 motorcyclists, and 16 pedal cyclists died on the roads in 2022.
The main reason why we have had so many deaths in our country has to do with the number of motorcyclists who are there. But they are not the only one. If you look at the data very carefully, you'll find that for this year, 107 pedestrians so far have died, worse than last year. 141 motorcyclists compared to 166 last year, and 16 pedal cyclists compared to 29 last year. So the vulnerable road users, along with private motorcar drivers and private motorcar passengers, make up the bulk of those who are dying on our roads.
Global increase in COVID numbers as a result of loosening restrictions and the weather changes, says CMO. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Besesa-McKenzie says that the increase in COVID-19 cases globally is as a result of the loosening of restrictions and the weather changes. She explains that what has been seen in countries such as China, where cases have risen in recent weeks, is happening in other countries, and that it can happen in Jamaica as well. In that regard, the Chief Medical Officer is promoting the continued practice of physical distancing, mask wearing, and other safeguards. According to her, it is not impossible for cases to spike without warning.
Right across the world, that at this time, because of climatic conditions, the season where there's a lot more movement, a lot more gathering, and a lot of loosening of restrictions everywhere, that you will see an increase in the number of cases. And as a matter of fact, you would see that if you're following closely, you would see that our positivity rate is inching up very, very slightly, but you do see it. We have seen, over the last 3 years, that you let down your guard, everything looks good, and then something pops up that creates havoc. This can happen. It can happen as early as in January.
Tackling crime remains a top priority, Prime Minister's New Year message. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says that tackling the crime rate will remain a top priority for the government, with legislative changes coming in the new year. In his New Year's address, Mr. Holness asserted that there have been positive results in the fight against the crime arising from the imposition of the states of emergency and the changes to the Firearms Act. He adds that the changes to the laws will reduce the occurrence of certain criminals escaping prosecution.
In the next few months, we will take amendments to Parliament to significantly increase the penalty for murder to over 30 years. We will streamline the bail process with the passage of a new Bail Act. A new corrections bill will be tabled, a new fingerprint bill will be tabled, and the Enhanced Security Measures Bill will also be tabled. This year, a clear message will be sent to violence producers that law enforcement and the criminal justice system is not a revolving door. Criminals will begin to understand that we are changing the risk-reward dynamic of crime in Jamaica.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.